When did you have to choose between being a good parent and being a smart one? I had a month to decide whether to press charges against the principal's son for breaking my autistic son's arm. Theo was being bullied by Colton Briggs for weeks now. Colton was 14, twice Theo's size, and had been escalating for months. He'd gone from hiding Theo's noise-canceling headphones to shoving him in hallways. And now finally, he had pushed him off the jungle gym after calling him too weird for regular kids. But Colton was Principal Briggs' son, and she made the stakes crystal clear when she called me into her office. You should just let this go and let me take care of it internally. Filing charges would create an impossible situation. You should know I would rather expel your son and blacklist him rather than punish Colton, she said, fingers steepled across her mahogany desk. Besides, this is the only school in the district equipped for Theo's needs. The nearest comparable program is in Columbus, which is 200 miles away. He'd have nowhere to go if you forced me to expel him. I knew she was right. Before being enrolled in this special school, Theo was completely nonverbal, violent during transitions, and unable to tolerate any academic work. Now he could type full sentences on his iPad, sit through modified lessons, and even made a friend named Abby who shared her obsession with train schedules. His special education teacher, Ms. Cruz, had spent 2 years teaching him to recognize emotions using Pokemon cards. Where else would we find that? I spent 3 weeks calling every school within 2 hours. Martinsville Elementary. We don't have autism resources. Brookhaven. Our special education program is full. Fairmont. We can't accommodate nonverbal students. Private schools wanted $40,000 annually, which was impossible on my salary. My ex-wife Angelina was screaming at me to press charges immediately. You need to do something. What's next? A traumatic brain injury. But she lived in Seattle and didn't understand our reality. The detective I consulted off the record was blunt. What happens when you press charges? The kid gets probation. Your son gets blacklisted. Briggs has connections throughout the state education board. The security footage had mysteriously corrupted, of course. The decision was eating me alive. Theo started refusing school, melting down every morning, biting his hands until they bled. His entire progress with autism was reversed in an instant. He stopped using his picture cards and went back to the iPad. He even started throwing food on the floor again. I knew I needed to do something to protect him, but like the principal had said, if I pressed charges, then Theo might have to say goodbye to a normal childhood. It's not like it was guaranteed that Colton would face consequences anyway. There was no evidence except my son's word, especially with the other kids already having taken Colton's side thanks to his mother. I sat in my car outside the police station for 2 hours, engine running, forms filled out on the passenger seat, considering whether or not I should do it. Theo was having his worst week yet, screaming when I tried to put his shoes on, hiding under his bed, typing no school over and over on his iPad. But just as I was about to head in, my phone rang. Briggs's voice rang through the speaker. I need you to come to the school. There's been a development. I thought Colton had hurt another child, but when I arrived, Briggs's eyes were red-rimmed, her usually perfect hair unwashed. You don't have to worry about the bullying anymore. Colton will be withdrawing from this school effective Monday, she said. The words didn't make sense at first, but then she explained and a huge strain was lifted off my heart. Turns out her husband had filed for emergency custody 3 days ago, citing Colton's escalating violence at home. Apparently there had been multiple police visits she'd kept hidden. Colton's father was moving him to Michigan immediately to live with his grandparents and get him into a therapeutic boarding school. That would mean Colton would go away, Theo would be free, and I wouldn't have to make the choice I was dreading. I'm sorry for the position I put you in, Briggs admitted quietly, and then she slid a folder across her desk. Inside were Colton's written apology, medical expense coverage, and her own resignation letter. Ms. Cruz will be interim principal. Her daughter has autism. She understands. I sat there stunned. Theo returned to school under Ms. Cruz, who immediately implemented new bullying protocols. Within a month, his meltdown stopped and he was back on the picture cards, even making a special card about the bully who ran away.